Warning, despite the subject matter at the focus of these videos, my reviews are not intended for viewers under the age of 13, so if you're not of age, turn off the video now. Are they gone? Great, let's get to the intro already. The last episode was a decent reintroduction into the main plot of Beast Morphers, but since the show has yet to bring Blaze and Roxy back into the villain corner, I'm going to count this as the second half of the season premiere. And don't even try to tell me that we're getting new generals. I've already seen the screenshots, so I know Blaze and Roxy become villains again. I just hope it's not going to be as predictable and retroactive as I'm expecting, since I praised the last episode for not bringing these characters back to the beginning of last season. But let's see if we're in for the same old shit as we look at Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode 24, Save Our Shores. The episode opens with Blaze finishing up a karate lesson, and after he's done, he joins the Rangers to hang out.
Where's Roxy? Still at her new job, I guess.
What new job?
She didn't tell you?
No.
Her aunt has this huge company and hooked her up. I think it's called Collins something?
Could you mean Collins Industries?
Wait, Roxy is related to someone with the last name Collins? Interesting. As the Rangers watch Collins Industries on the news, they see the company responsible for a giant trash spill and determine that Roxy's on the beach cleaning up the mess. The Rangers and Blaze head to the beach to help Roxy, and after they get there, Ben and Betty show up on special orders from Commander Shaw. Evidently, the commander didn't tell Ben and Betty why the Rangers were on the beach, which is why they show up covered in sunblock. However, as they help clean up, Ben and Betty discover that they accidentally covered themselves in glue, so they end up rolling around in trash since it picks up scraps effectively. Honestly, this would be funnier if the world wasn't on high alert for disease over the past 18 months. And that's not the show's fault, it's just bad luck. One of the workers then informs Roxy of a turtle that's in bad shape, and after the team checks on the sick animal, Zoe says they can take it to the Coral Harbor Marine Center, which is where she worked before joining Grid Battle Force. Hooray for continuity! As the crew takes the turtle to the Marine Center, Nate and Zoe tell Roxy that due to the size of the trash spill, many more sea creatures could be hurt, so Roxy promises to find and save every one of them. We then cut to the new villain lair that I'm going to refer to as the Fortress from now on because of the crystals all over the place. Anyway, at the aforementioned fortress, Scruzzle refers to Evox when talking to a person in a suit who I absolutely don't know the identity of because the face is covered. Scruzzle warns Evox that the body he's using is corrupting his virus, adding that should the villain run out of Morphex while in Coral Harbor, he could transform in front of the Rangers. Evox tells Scruzzle not to question his plans since the human body he's using, whoever that may be, is the key to everything. Evox then demands Scruzzle deliver the generals he was promised, but Scruzzle says he needs to collect a bit of data from a pair of pesky teens first. To help his plans, Scruzzle makes a Robotron out of a bird cage, and when we cut back to the Rangers, they're helping at the Marine Center, which has taken in many sea creatures affected by the trash spill. Dr. Walsh tells the teens they'll do all they can, but since the Marine Center runs on volunteers and donations, that means they don't have the funds to take care of so many animals at once. Roxy, who was put in charge of the trash spill by her aunt, says that Collins Industries should have no problem paying for the animal care since they're responsible for the trash spill. Zoe and Blaze join Roxy as she goes to tell her aunt about the animals, but unfortunately, Miss Collins doesn't see them as the company's problem since they're already paying to clean up the beach. Zoe tries to convince Collins further by saying that a good business needs to be responsible for their mistakes, but Collins says they can't be sure all the animals got sick because of the trash spill, adding that the company can't take care of every sick animal in the ocean, otherwise they'd go bankrupt. After Miss Collins leaves, Zoe, Blaze, and Roxy are at a loss of what to do now, until Roxy secretly calls Dr. Walsh to tell him that Collins Industries will cover all the animal care costs. When she gets back to the others, they talk more about their next move before a cage springs up around Blaze and Roxy. Zoe immediately calls for backup, up, knowing that a Robotron is involved, but when Trappertron appears, he blows Zoe away. The other Rangers arrive on the scene, with Nate breaking off to help Blaze and Roxy, while the others morph into action. Trappertron calls on Tronics to help in his fight against the Rangers, and as Nate tries to open the cage, Scrozzle secretly shows up, and it's time for some repetition.
Scrozzle?
What? Don't mind me.
I think he scanned us.
Huh? He just scanned them and left? What's your game, Scrozzy? The rest of the Rangers finish off the Tronics, but as they chase after Trappertron, Nate calls Ravi to help him with the cage. Devin, Zoe, and Steel continue their fight with Trappertron, who eventually tries to trap the Rangers in a cage so he can escape. However, the trio uses their sabers to slice up Trappertron's defenses and manage to take him down with ease. Back with Ravi and Nate, the Blue Ranger uses his gorilla strength to pry the cage bars open, and after Blaze and Roxy are free, Nate tells Ravi about Scruzzle's scan. Speaking of, Scruzzle downloads Blaze and Roxy's DNA into combat robots that have the memories of the evil avatars, meaning these are the same generals from last season, just in new bodies. That's right, the show is going to have good and evil versions of Blaze and Roxy. To avoid confusion, I'm going to give these villain versions new names. I'm thinking Blazebot and Roborox. After Scruzzle explains how he rebuilt the new robot generals, we cut back to the Marine Center where the Rangers are commending Collins for doing the right thing and paying, while Roxy stays silent and distant. Zoe tries to bring Roxy into the conversation, but as soon as she does, Miss Collins shows up to inform Dr. Walsh that she didn't authorize a donation from the company. Roxy admits she was the one to authorize the money, telling Miss Collins that the company's trash spill caused all these animals to get sick. Collins again tells Roxy she can't know that for sure, when the same woman from earlier informs the group of another sick turtle. After seeing the damage that the trash spill caused, Miss Collins does a 180 and authorizes the donation to save all the sick sea creatures. The good feelings don't last long, however, as the Rangers are called about a disturbance, and when they arrive on the scene, they come face to face with Blazebot and Roborox. This confuses the team, but the generals explain they're brand spanking new before the fight is on. Eventually, Devin discovers that Blazebot is in fact a robot, but the surprises don't stop there, and the generals morph into their new kick-ass outfits. The Rangers take this as their cue to morph into action, and the fight begins anew until Devin calls on the Ultra Blaster, and the others join him to blast the bad guys to bits. However, it turns out the Robo Generals were just a distraction, so Scruzzle can collect more Morph X, and after he teleports away, the Rangers are called about a Gigadrone. The team calls on the Ultrazord to make very quick work of the giant robot, and after the fight, Evox yells at Scruzzle since the general bots he made were once again destroyed by the Rangers. However, Scruzzle has a trick up his sleeve and shows Evox that he can download Blazebot and Roborox into new bodies whenever they get scrapped. While that's going on, Ben and Betty inform the Rangers that the beach is now clean, saying that we all need to create a little less trash, before Ben realizes he lost his wrist comm in one of the bags. Before they can look for the wrist comm, the trash trailer starts moving, leading to Ben and Betty comedically chasing after it. Back at the Marine Center, the Rangers tell Blaze and Roxy about their robot replicas before Miss Collins calls the teens to look at the now healthy sea turtle. And the episode ends with Miss Collins thanking Roxy for showing her that we all are responsible for protecting the environment. This episode is not great, but still good. It is equal parts preachy filler episode and action-packed reintroduction into returning generals, which in some respects makes it the perfect Power Rangers episode. The environmental message is just as heavy-handed as it was when I started reviewing the show back in 2013, but luckily Power Rangers has grown since then, evident by how the action sequences are used to break up the sometimes boring talk about give a hoot, don't pollute. The filler plot also serves a secondary function by focusing on Roxy, which demonstrates that Beast Morphers is committed to developing Blaze and Roxy as characters other than the brainwashed villains we knew them as last season. Hell, based on what happens in this episode, there's also evidence that Roxy and Zoe will become best friends, like how Blaze and Devin were portrayed in the last episode. We even found out that Roxy might have the last name Collins, which just brought me to a whole new level of fan excitement. Even if she's not directly related to Wes Collins, who I have talked a a lot about on this show, that's still enough to get a cameo from Time Force Red and explain how Dino Charge gets here from their dimension for that epic crossover that I am totally looking forward to. But enough about fan speculation, I need to get back to the episode. Another thing I love about the show for the developing Blaze and Roxy is that Beast Morphers didn't throw the idea of them being villains away. With the introduction of BlazeBot and Roborox, the show is open to all kinds of possibilities for interesting stories going forward. We could have episodes about Blaze and Roxy being captured by their replicas, or even do an arc where the Rangers start treating Blaze and Roxy differently because they must fight villains with their faces every week. The story potential here is endless, and I am totally pumped to see how this subplot develops over the course of the season. Overall, this is a good Power Rangers episode that strikes a nice balance between presenting a decent moral and having enough Power Rangers elements to keep viewers entertained all the way through. The action is once again top tier, and the show somehow managed to introduce new characters without adding to the cast. It may have a preachy environmental message, but I'm still going to recommend this one. I'm Nick, aka IronBet1993, and may the power protect you.